Hey everyone, today we're going to go over a really cool stenciling technique I like to use, especially when working on multi-dimensional or curved surfaces. This method will allow us to create a really well-defined stencil by removing the positive space of our drawing directly from our object. To start, you do need one specific material, and that is some polyester-based tape, which is easily available online on Uline or Amazon. Your local hardware store may not carry this. You also need an X-Acto knife to do your cutting, and a burnisher will help you apply your tape tightly to the object's surface. Start by taking some high grit sandpaper to knock off any overspray or gritty buildup from the primer on your surface, so you can either begin to apply your tape cleanly to a smooth surface or paint a base coat. I'm going to apply a different color for my base coat on this object. I was really excited about this coral pink color, and then I decided I hated it, so I switched to black right after. This quick color change will actually throw me some curveballs later in the project, so I want to note that now so we can talk about what will happen later in the video. If you applied a fresh coat, once your paint is dried and cured, apply parallel strips of tape to your surface. Again, be sure to eliminate any gritty buildup because this will only interfere with your ability to lay down your tape cleanly. You want the strips of tape to meet, but try to avoid overlapping as much as possible to reduce the risk of air bubbles and paint building up on the raised edge of the tape. Multiple layers of tape can be difficult to slice through fluidly. Burnish the tape down to the surface to remove all trapped air. The polyester tape is great for several reasons. Most importantly for this project, it can be applied watertight to the surface you want to paint. If you've prepped your material correctly and have a nice smooth surface, your stencil will have virtually no bleeding issues, even on those curved surfaces. Polyester tape is thinner, stretchier, and stronger than normal blue painter's tape. If you've made a stencil with blue painter's tape before, you've probably been reasonably satisfied, but it's easy to leave behind soft or fuzzy edges and is pretty susceptible to bleeding and buildup. The polyester tape is also slightly translucent, allowing you to design very accurate stencils in several layers if you wanted. Investing in a polyester tape for this method of stenciling, or masking as I call it, is the easiest and maybe most important part of the process. I'm going to freehand cut the shapes I want to remove from my stencil, kind of how you would with a woodblock print. At this point, you can do the same, but there's also opportunity now to laser cut your image from your mask, use a projector to plan your drawing, or whatever process you think benefits you the most. As more pieces of tape are removed to reveal the positive space of my drawing, it is easy to see how the way I applied multiple base coats of spray paint at the start are interfering with the quality of my drawing. Because I didn't let the initial pink layer completely dry, I only waited about 20 minutes instead of the hour recommended on the can before adding the black coat, and getting some chipping in the sharp corners of my drawing. I think if I had just let the paint coat dry for the appropriate amount of time, I wouldn't be having this problem. I'm not sure what kind of other problems or intensity of chipping this will lead to when the tape is removed at the end, but I want to address this issue and follow it as we proceed. In my opinion, the chipping is very consistent and it may, hopefully, even lead to a nice visual effect in the end. So we'll check back in on this problem again after we apply some paint. I'm testing a new airbrush for this project, but spray paints, acrylic paints, glue and flocking, glitter, tar and feather, what have you, will only be applied within the shapes, leaving the masked areas of your project totally clean. I'm using a set of 4 pastel colors I mixed because I think they will really pop on my matte black surface. For my project, I'm just attempting to get some nice blends of color and play with some settings in the airbrush to see what it can do. After your paint is dried, carefully remove your tape with your X-Acto blade and be sure not to cut yourself. Given the complexity of your stencil, this may take some time. Once you start peeling back pieces of tape, it quickly becomes clear the satisfying, hard edges your stencil has created. Fortunately, the chipping I was worried about under the remainder of the stencil never became a real problem for me. But I know that if I had been slightly more patient, my stencil quality would have been even better. For most projects, boom, this was your final step. I do recommend one last step, especially if you're using an airbrush or if you're left with some grit like we saw with the primer. Now that the tape is removed from my project, I don't want to alter the gritty buildup because it's actually contributing to my nice blend of colors. A way to preserve this and make your layers feel whole and complete is to apply a final clear coat over the entire project. Now my project is protected and feels and looks finished. And there you go, your stencil project is complete. I know there are a lot of specifics in this video that will change with everyone's individual projects, but the key things to take away from this are: use a polyester-based tape for protection and line quality. Be patient. Burnish tape down correctly and let paint dry adequately. A final clear coat will help preserve your paint job, obscure many small mistakes, and make your colors pop. In the next video, we'll discuss a few different painting techniques to explore this kind of stenciling.